Okay, she be going every single night. Day and night on my mind, pushing you to vibe.
How's it going, everybody? This is Todd Abedrabbo. Hope you're having another great day, and welcome back to another video. So many of you might not notice, but at one point in time when I was beginning college, I was holding down a job at Burger King, but it wasn't just any normal Burger King restaurant. This was a Burger King that was literally inside a mall, that being the Livingston Mall in Livingston, New Jersey. I worked there from March of 2017 to June of 2018 as a part-time employee, usually working just about a couple days a week, mostly on the weekends. And while I did have my fun times, there was also a lot of havoc, but that's what you usually get when you are working at a food court. Working at a fast food court during the busiest times of the day really generates a whole lot of stress, because sometimes you have to deal with quite a bit of customers that want to make an order, especially very large lines, especially since it's during the busiest times of the day. And usually working at a food court, while it may bring a lot of positives, it can also bring a lot of negatives as well. So as for this video, I'll be bringing in my Burger King shirt that I used when I was working there, and I'll be talking about my experience of working at a fast food court and talk about some of my experiences about what I went through there, and more importantly, just about what you can expect if you decide to work at a fast food court at a mall. And trust me, there's quite a bit that you will be going through. So first off, one of the things that you would have to be dealing with when working at a fast food restaurant, it would be somewhere on the midst of a highway. Usually there'll be a lot of customers that will be driving through a drive-through, or some people walking in, but usually, unless it's really a lunch rush, it's usually not very busy. At a food court, however, things are very, very different. At a fast food court, your space to work is very, very small. There's not a whole lot of space that you'll be able to do work with. The manager's office is literally right behind you, and more importantly, you have to deal with a lot of very long lines as well, because there are going to be a lot of people that will be walking around while they're trying to go through their daily shopping, and really that can generate a whole lot of stress. But if you know exactly what you're doing, you can be able to get through that pretty fine. And I say space because unlike at a regular fast food restaurant, at a fast food restaurant in a fast food court in a mall, there's not a whole lot of space for you to be able to do your work, because there's only literally like 2 registers right there, and then everything that you usually see like in the back, they're literally right next to you. The drink machine as well as the smoothie and the icy machine are literally right behind you, and you don't have to go very far, thankfully, to be able to get your drinks there and be able to get it to your customers. But at the same time, with all of that space, if you end up making a mistake and some of the food ends up going on the floor, you risk angering that customer, and that gets you in a whole lot of trouble. So that's one thing that you're gonna have to be very, very careful with. Plus, at times it can get very crammed as well. When there's a whole lot of employees there working at such a small space, there's a real chance that there's going to be an accident there. And if you're not careful, it can end up being very, very bad. And that can only complicate matters when you're trying to get all your food out to the customers. And so that's really one thing that you gotta keep in mind. If you're going to work at a fast food court, you need to be mindful of your space, because there's not a whole lot of it to work with in a small fast food restaurant style court. And so that's one problem that you gotta deal with. Space is a major, major problem in a fast food court, and that's pretty much what I went through during that time. And so something that you really have to keep in mind if you really want to work at a fast food court. Another thing is that you also gotta clean up the mess as well. And really, a lot of the customers, they likely leave their trays behind and all of that, and that's something that you usually do quite a bit at a fast food restaurant. But like I said, usually during the normal hours there at a fast food restaurant, there isn't a whole lot that you can pick up. So really, you can just worry about cleaning all the stuff that's behind you in the kitchen and just, take every customer's order and all of that stuff. But here, because there are so many customers that want to get an order at a fast food court, there are a whole lot more trays that you need to get to the back of the store and clean up as well, just so that way it can be ready for the next customer that decides to make an order. There are going to be a lot of trays that are going to be left behind, and within a few minutes, unlike at a regular fast food restaurant, it's going to stack up again. And that's something that you'll likely have to deal with at least almost once every hour or so, or maybe once every 2 hours, depending on the size of the activity and all that stuff. So really, that's something that you really got to keep in mind here. Another thing is that you also have to deal with quite a bit of competition as well. In my experience, there was a Popeyes and a Charlie's, which I used to go to quite a bit during my lunch breaks, as well as a Cinnabon there. Usually there are a lot of other big name fast food stops there at a fast food court that you have to deal with, that sometimes it can be a little bit of a competition as well. So sometimes you really have to see if you can try your best to be the best out of all the fast food stops there at your court. I say that because, like I said before, it's not just us, it's everybody else that we have to deal with as well. But the thing is that in my experience, because Burger King is the most well-known out of all the stops that were there at my fast food court, people will more want to go to our stop rather than all the other areas that are around us. I mean, Popeyes was pretty much a close second, but really we were the go-to when it came to all the stops there at the fast food court that I worked at. And that was really one thing as well, because if you are really a big name restaurant there at a fast food court, you are probably going to generate a whole lot more customers there than you would think, especially on the weekends. And so working at a big name stop there can really generate a whole lot of competition through everybody else that you're working with there at the fast food court. So sometimes it really gives you that mindset that you just have to be better than all the other stops that are there at fast food court. And that was really the thing that our manager prior to us, is that we had to be the best that we can be. And so that's really something that we had to do while I was there at the Burger King at the Livingston Mall. And the other thing is that you're not going to get a whole lot of opportunities as well. Now, there are very few people that are going to be working at a fast food stop at a fast food court, unlike in a regular fast food restaurant. In my restaurant, we only had about like 8 or 10 people working a shift at a time, usually during the 4 hours that I would be there during the weekend. So sometimes you have to really divest in a whole lot of stuff. So sometimes you have to get a whole lot of tasks that you have to deal with at a time. And for me, for example, I had to mainly do drinks. And so that was really one thing that I had to do. I mostly had to get all the drinks out, especially all, the soft drinks as well as all the smoothies. And I even had to make milkshakes, which was something that I was not good at the time. So that was something that you really had to do a whole lot of. And at the same time, I also had to do a whole lot of other activities when it was not very busy as well, which is usually very rare at a fast food court. I would have to go out, like I said, to get all the trays and all of that stuff. I would also have to get a mop, also just to clean all the floors and all that stuff. And really, during the times that they are not busy and you have nothing to do, you can just become very, very bored. That's another thing you gotta worry about too when you're working at a fast food court, is that usually at the time you have to keep busy. Because you're in a public space, you really have to find a way to keep yourself busy, because if you're not, the manager is going to notice, and that's really going to get you in a whole lot of trouble. And there were quite a few number of times where there was nothing going on and there was really just very little to do, that I just couldn't figure out exactly what I really had to do. And so I really had to just find a way to be able to, if there were even a small amount of trays, just to get those, and then really just stock everything up as well. I also had to stock all the cups as well as just getting all the food prepared as well. And mainly that was just some of what I had to do. And because it was in such a public environment like that, if you're not doing a whole lot, unlike at any other restaurant, you're gonna get yourself in a whole lot of trouble. Now, of course, fast food restaurants were probably one of the busiest places to work at, and probably one of the toughest as well, because if you're not focused on your job 100% of the time there, you're gonna be one of the very first ones out the door. And mainly because I was working on the weekends, I had to keep focused on my job 100% of the time. And really, because there were so many customers that were coming in line, if I even lost track at one point in time, it was really going to throw me off the rest of the shift. And really, that would be a whole lot of harm when it comes to my ability to even keep my job at the Burger King. And after a while, it just starts to get rather stressful, because you're having to deal with so many people at a time and just so many rotating tasks at once, that really, it can really affect you. And that was exactly what happened to me during my last month there at Burger King. It was just so much that I had to deal with that, it really just, as much as I started to get used to it, it really started to generate a whole lot of stress as well. As much as I enjoyed it early on, it really didn't become as much fun late in my time there at Burger King than it was at the beginning of my time. And another main difference is that, unlike at a fast food restaurant, there is no drive-thru. As I've mentioned before, because it's literally in a mall, everybody's just walking up to your store. There's no drive-thru where there's a customer or two that can just go there and maybe an employee can be able to get all of their food, so that way it's a quicker exit. Here, everybody's just coming straight to you. So you gotta be very, very quick and on your toes in those situations. Fast food courts are a lot of fun as a customer, but as an employee, you really gotta find a way to work. It can be a very stressful environment at times if there are a lot more customers than you think there are. Now, mostly, if you are working mainly in the weekdays and not on the weekends, then maybe it could be a little easier. And that's really one thing that I started out with. I was mainly working on Tuesdays and Thursdays during that time, during my breaks in between all my days that I had in college. So really, there weren't a whole lot of customers that were coming during that time during the Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it was a lot easier. But once they shifted me into the weekends, that was when I had to start dealing with all the long lines of customers and all of that stuff. And it just only added more to my activity level. And really, as much as I enjoyed it early on, like I said before, it became very, very stressful late. And that's something that you'll have to consider as well, because you are going to be asked to work on the weekends at fast food restaurants a lot, especially in a fast food court. And because of that, there's a lot more customers that you have to deal with. And so you just got to be on your toes 110%. And so yeah, overall, in my time there working at a fast food court in the Livingston Mall, you know, it had its ups and downs. You know, I mostly enjoyed the people that I work with. I didn't have too many problems with my managers, but at the same time, you know, it's just a very public environment. And that's just something that you have to deal with, you know. And so if you're ever considering working at a fast food court, you just got to keep all of these in mind. Now, I'm not saying don't work at a fast food court. I know there are some people that probably will think that they don't have any other choice. And so if you really feel like that you need to work there just so that way you can pay for your college tuition or all that stuff, then that's really a route that you can probably take. But you got to remember, in a fast food court, it is very, very busy. And you really need to be able to show that you are deserving to keep that job while you're seeking an internship and being able to go through all of your college credits. So that way you can be able to find a way to succeed, and maybe if you're lucky enough, get more opportunities there at the restaurant that you're working at while you are progressing in your studies before you start going for the major field of your choice, or at least finding a career there in the field of your choice. But you gotta remember, like I said, it is a very fast-paced environment. And if you're not careful there, you're gonna be one of the very first ones out the door. And I can tell you, I was very lucky not to be a part of that group. So just be very careful if you're working at a fast food court, because it can be pretty hectic there at times, but as long as you know exactly what you're doing, you'll be just fine. So if you have worked at a fast food court before, what are some of your experiences there? What are some of the positives that you went there, along with some of the negatives that you went through while you were there as well? Feel free to let me know down in the comments, and I'll be more interested in hearing them. Anyways, that's gonna do it for another video. Hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you'd like to see more of my content, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when my latest video is released. As always, be sure to comment below for future suggestions for all my videos, whether it's vlogs, projects, or challenges, you name it. Leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to make them. And as always, follow me in my social media. All the links are in the description below. That's gonna do it for another video. Hope you're having another great day. And as always, I hope to see all of you get another video very soon. So long, everybody.